Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Cloud Consultant Service. Today I'm going to cover more of AWS Lambda Serverless. So before starting to this, I want to keep this video short and crystal clear about what AWS Lambda function is, and since it's a very old service, but I definitely want to deep dive into this based on my experience, what this service is and how it evolved and changed, made the revolution in current infrastructures, right? So yeah, I've been holding like almost 15 year experience in infrastructure DevOps background, managing the multi-cloud, like mainly worked on AWS. So super excited to share my real-time experience on this Lambda services. Uh, yeah, so I mean, first of all, like what Lambda is, right? Lambda is the serverless architectures where if I tell you about, which means if you think about Lambda, which means it's no server, right? We don't bother about server. It's a like serverless component where each and every cloud provider started providing it, right? So we call in another term as a function as a service, which means you bring your code, upload your code and run for that event. So yeah, if you if you check in the background of what Lambda function is using it, they generally use a container technology behind to allowing you to give you a compute to run your code for that fraction of time. So yeah, I think the key benefits, if I talk about, it's like it gives you quite scalability. Lambda is automatically scales. In response, you have a lot of uptimes. It's very cost effectiveness. You don't have to pay for the services unless until it's getting used. So it's a pay-as-you-go models, and it's a event-driven architecture, supports the event-driven architecture. So based on event, it triggered and it get the response. Um, there is no server management, so no patching, no monitoring, nothing. So we don't have to take care of any sort of infrastructure component. So yeah, I think it has like if I'm talking about serverless, it has a complete framework. It include multiple other components, which is like API gateway, SNL, SQS, right? DynamoDB. So there are a lot of tech components which includes under the serverless. There are very lot of use cases are there in for the Lambda function. If I name it like real time data processing could be a real time use case for Lambda functions. So web applications, in the backend using API gateway Lambda functions to build a serverless backend and web applications. That is also one of the use case. Automating the infrastructure, right? This is one of my, I have used a lot of things for automating my infrastructure. Using Lambda project, you can automate a lot of tasks like backup, server monitoring. In fact, I'm going to share the some use cases of the automating the infrastructure. Microservices, breaking down your large application into the smaller and it deploy independently using the Lambda function. Even in ETL or serverless ETL, right? It uses the Lambda to extract and transform the ETL job. So it helps in building a data pipeline and ETL job as well. So yeah, I'll just go through the some few slides explaining about how much things have changed, right, from on-prem to cloud and cloud to serverless, right? So the multi-tier architecture, I think many of you have know about this layer, right? But I'm going to refresh again. So uh, generally we had four layer, right, where it comes about presentation layer and where you keep your all your HTML, PHP codes and to get served over the internet. You have your backend layer, which include your integration control, your do like if you have something data conversion, manipulation, processing, any caching, anything, right? So that comes under the app servers, right? It call as the integration layer. Um, we within that same, like we can also say like we have another layer saying the backend integration or data logic processing, right? So all backend logic and API thing get hosted on the DEO like and model app services, right? So combining these two layer, I mean, we can say like even these two layer can be run on the same server, but having this like separation of this keeps you quite isolation, right? um, Backend database, this is most important, like creating a database and storing a database, right, at the backend there. So this was like four layer of architecture which was being used in traditional way, and this was like single tier architecture. So web server request comes from outside to come to web server from apps, from their app server you have the multi app servers, and you get the data from the database server. So it's very simple architectures. um, when you want to build a highly available for NTR, right? So there is a huge investment comes in the picture. So you make sure you have a two data centers, right? AZ1, AZ2, or region 1, region 2, right? And you build a primary with all the layers, and you build a secondary uh, with the same component. So it's an investment of duplicating services in the from what we have in primary, same services we have to have in the failover or secondary environment. So from the investment point of view, yes, you have to invest a double, and but it makes sure that even if your data center is getting down, it get failover. You can control on failover, automatic failover on the second AC, yeah, or the second region. So for the high availability, yes, NTR architecture is one thing which is useful. Coming to next slide, yes, this is where I was talking about um, serverless and tier architectures on AWS, right? Comparing that same layer, what we had in traditional presentation, integration, models and backend data, um, all has from the layer perspective the same, but it got replaced with a serverless component now, right? So each each layer we have something like S3 API gateway. So second layer is like integration control, where Amazon API gateway is the replacing your app services. The main component comes in Lambda, where Lambda provides you the compute to run your backend logic. So you can run you can create your Lambda, upload your codes, and can be triggered through your API gateway. For the backend data, we have Amazon DynamoDB, even this is serverless. So for storing all your database, we can keep here. So if you see, comparing the other slide which we had for the on-prem side, right? So all four layer is getting replaced with your serverless using these services. Now here we don't have to keep your investment, like doubling your investment, right? In terms of achieving the failover, achieving the data resiliency, everything is like managed by AWS, and it's a managed service. So it keeps at 99.9% uptime, right? So even from the cost perspective, it's pay as you go model. The number of requests comes and hit your S3 API gateway, Lambda function, right? And Amazon DynamoDB. So the number of time that request comes as an event, it triggers, it gives the response, and it costs you money, right? So that's really cost effective services, and it has a very native integration with very across services in AWS. So yeah, I think this is one of a benefit that having a serverless services gives you a lot of privilege to scale your infrastructure with a cost effective way. Yeah. Moving to next slide. Yeah, I wanted to put across one slide for a difference between the infra as a service, container as a service, platform as a service, and function as a service. So each and every cloud provider, right, has its own services for all this category. As coming from infrastructure background, DOS background, I have worked on physical servers, physical hardware servers, right? And I remember those days, like we used to remove the rack and put this rack on the on server, blade server on the rack, and do the installation operating systems, all the physical hardware. But yeah, having said that, the revolution came since the virtualization of the infrastructure happened. So within single virtual machine, within single machine, we divided the multiple operating system because of this virtualization. Then another revolution happened when container as a services came into the technology. So uh, you can host multiple containers, multiple application VMs. Having a very limited library of the operating system, you can run your application. So, like from the cost perspective, even from the resiliency and failover perspective, right? Container as a service was very useful. Platform as a service is another layer where like wanted to make more developer friendly. So developer comes with their codes, Tomcat, PHP, and other thing, and they upload their codes. Don't have to take care of anything from the infrastructure. Upload their codes, run their codes, and get the infrastructure setup done. So it's that easy. But another revolution happened when the function as a service came, right? Like which I was talking about Lambda functions, API gateways, and DynamoDB. These are all serverless components, but Lambda function has it's itself a revolution where it allows you to run the codes as a function, right? Bring the piece of function code and um, uh, 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 see the runtime, which particular runtime you want, Pythons, you want Node.js, and use those runtime compute environment to execute a code. So this is the most high level. Mainly want to give us a high level of the differences. Um, this slides is basically for function as a service. Each and every cloud provider, like majorly giant are AWS, Azure, Google. Everyone has this service. So in AWS, we have AWS Lambda function. In Azure, we have the Azure functions. In Google, we have Google functions. So these are certain uh, parameters of the services. So yes, version, yes, production day. This service is production ready. It can be used in production ready. What are they supporting? How many languages they're supporting as a runtime? You can assign the IAM policy to your that Lambda functions, and so it can be secure to authenticate to multiple services. Persistent storage, yes, S3, DynamoDB, and it also started supporting EFS. It has a wide range of trigger points, as I said, like it's a event-driven service, so it can be triggered using API gateway. It can be triggered with a lot of events, like also you have AWS Event Bridge, S3 events, Cloudtrail events. So it can be triggered by many things. Um, Logging monitoring, it support cloud log X-ray to log your the containers or functions error and everything. Maximum execution time, it's mentioned that 100,000 parallel executions. And what are the deployment methods? So it's zip deployment, it's supported, and it has a serverless framework as well. There is no limit of the function dependency deployment package per language. So yeah, you need to have a dependency also to be installed when running your codes. Scalability and availability important from an infrastructure perspective. It automatically scale, right? We don't have to take care of any component has a scalability or availabilities. Um, Orchestrator, yes, there are service called AWS step function, which orchestrator Lambda functions. Yeah, the same pattern we have other cloud product who is delivering the same capabilities. So yeah, I think more of this. I wanted to touch base last slide with saying that what all IT automation tasks or use cases we have done. I have done with infrastructure. It's very basic, like like a day-to-day activity which we have achieved, deleting untaxed resources. I want to make sure that cloud volumes are getting removed when there is not, because it's going to cost money, right? Generally, what happened, developer delete the machine, but the volume is still there. So yeah, I think these are the list of operation IT automation, which is very useful. I You can feel free to it. It definitely had a lot of use case. It's not only this, but there's something I wanted to put base, like what recently we have used done in order to automate the AWS automation with very feasible solution. So yeah, that is more of I wanted to cover in this slide. I will be explaining a few more demo on the AWS Lambda functions with the latest release. And yeah, I will come with some more real use case in a few other videos. Thanks for joining. I hope you like the videos. I'll keep you updated about the other services. Thank you. Stay tuned. Bye.